The Rough Drafts podcast is sponsored by Unicorn.com, the world's premier esport betting site. Log on today to bet on all your favorite esports titles at the simple click of a button. Choose your game, choose your team, earn unicoins, and who knows, maybe you'll earn enough to enter to win any number of fabulous prizes, such as Logitech peripherals or CSGO skins in their marketplace. Unicorn.com. Log on today.
Hello, Internet. This is Chase RedShirtKing Wassenar. I am a free agent head coach and analyst, and welcome to another edition of the Rough Drafts Guest Alliance podcast. We are here to talk about Group C. This is a group that's nearer and dearer to my heart, I think, than Walter's, just because I have this love for the LMS that can be considered irrational at times. I am aware of this. But we have two teams at 2-1. Got two teams at 1 and 2, and we've only got 2 spots to get out. H2K is the last hope of Europe to actually make it out of a group, and that alone will be fun to watch as Walter prays at the Church of God Given for a miracle. And I am joined by Walter Ceades Fedczuk to hear those prayers and share them with you over the airwaves. So how you doing, Walter?
It's not a miracle for them to get out. It's incredibly unlikely they get out. I just want to have like a defining Forgiven on the international stage game where we can look back and everyone can be like, well, yeah, Forgiven actually like showed up to a tournament on the main stage and actually looked really, really good. So that's what I want. I want to see like him and Vander actually be able to duel Deft and Mako without giving up first blood and just see what happens.
Yeah. So you want him to not lose lane right away, and you want him to not fail flash in the Baron pit and have the ego wrong so that he just dies, is what you're saying. You're saying you'd like to avoid those things moving forward. I believe that's what I'm hearing, right? I'm just saying.
Moving on.
Moving on. Okay.
Moving
fine.
on.
Well, we'll continue with the alternate reality in which that didn't happen. Speaking of alternate realities in which things didn't happen, EDG versus INTZ. I get the feeling that the reality in which INTZ beat EDG is one that we all just collectively dreamed one day, and is not very likely to happen again.
That was definitely, we were all in the Matrix, and and Revolta and Yang weren't. They'd broken out. Yeah. So. And now they're back in, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, every time they break their way out, we pull them back in. And by we, I mean reality. It's hard.
Is anything really reality? How do we know anything is real?
Is this just fantasy? I like INTZ in theory. I think that of some of the wildcard teams we've seen in the past, especially some of the Brazilian teams, I think they bring a good sense of macro play. They tend to know what to do when they actually have the opportunity to get objectives. The problem is that after this EDG game where they accepted, like, we're super underdogs, we have to go aggressive, we have to strike first and strike often. Yeah. Then against H2K and AHQ, there was just none of that. And I don't know if that was just their plan and they were like, oh, well, we're just going to play it safe and we're going to play for the late game because that's when we're at our best. Because if that's the case, you're wrong, INTZ. Like, you can do that against Brazilian competition. You can even do it against wildcard competition, though I will mention you were 1 game away from not making it to this tournament. Had Leon Gaming just closed things out when they had a 2-1 lead. So maybe, just maybe, you should start playing like underdogs, which is something that Pain Gaming understood very well. It's something that Kaboom understood really well. Does it mean that you're probably not going to win? Yeah, high risk, high reward strategies are just that, and teams are likely to understand how to play against it. But it gives you a chance, and I just felt like last week after that EDG game, they stopped giving themselves chances.
Yeah, I mean, you give them pretty high praises for a team that's not even the best wild card at this tournament. So, I don't think their macro play is that much further above other Brazilian teams that have come through. I think their one issue is that the talent isn't quite there at three of the positions. I don't think Talkers or Jockster or Macau. I don't think
Macau. Look, he dies so often you don't see his name very much.
Yeah, like
I don't. In your defense,
I don't think they fit in very well in this tournament. Revolta and Yang, I think, are ballers. I think they can step up and they can, go one-on-one with quite a number of people that are at this tournament in this position. But the other three positions are just incredibly weak, which I guess you could say the same thing about Albus Knox when you look at them and you go, well, this shouldn't work either, but somehow it is. I think their macro play is much, much better than INTZ's.
Well, here's the thing. And this is exactly why I bring up this point of taking risks. Albus Knox has won all of their games because they take risks. Because they do things like try to sneak Baron around the 20-minute mark. Like, that's how you do this. You pull off crazy high-risk plays like that, and then suddenly you're ahead, and then suddenly you're playing with a lead, and that is a lot easier than trying to come back from behind because you gave up towers, because you gave up resources. And the problem with INTZ is they're just not good enough, especially Macau. I think that he's a real liability. EDG is not going to have any problem against these guys, mostly because I don't think EDG wants to read the Chinese message boards and be like,
when they get 2-0'd by INTZ.
Yeah, you got 2-0'd by Brazil. Don't come home. Like, just don't. We're done. We don't care if you then go on to make it to the finals of Worlds. You got 2-0'd by Brazil. So I don't think that's going to happen.
A world championship would change things. I'm pretty sure if they came home with the Summoners Cup, all the Chinese fans would be like, "Yeah, okay, Brazil, whatever." Like, who cares? Okay,
Brazil official runner-ups. That would be the way they do it. But where do you think the line is, Walter? Where do you think the gamblers?
So the first time around, this was at like minus 10,000. So I'm just gonna split it in half. I'm gonna go up minus 5,000. I think that's pretty good spot.
Yeah, well, you said already that you think I overestimated INTZ.
Yeah.
It would appear I did, because I cut it to 2,500. It is actually minus 5,000. You hit that one exactly.
There we go.
So there you go. There are no bonus points for hitting it exactly, unfortunately. But you did hit it exactly.
It's pride that I know better than you.
Oh, is that how that works? Should I bring up the score right now?
It's 1917. It's 1917. Yeah. That's what the score is right now.
So I know slightly better than you for now. Unfortunately, I've looked at the rest of these already. HQ versus H2K. See. This is the ultimate matchup of. Last time on the live show, you said, and I quote, "I have nothing positive to say about HQ." Does that mean that you think H2K is taking this game?
Oh, hell no. Not a chance. You misinterpret when I say I have nothing positive to say about them. It means I have my expectations of what AHQ are supposed to be. I have my expectations of what H2K are supposed to be. H2K have failed to reach those expectations. AHQ are at those expectations. They've done nothing to elevate them and me to go, oh wow, this is more than I expected. Oh, wow, AHQ is doing better than I expected. No, they are literally hitting the bar that I set for them. And, okay, fine, whatever. They haven't done anything to, wow me for me to go, wow, I should really pay attention to the LMS and not say they're a wildcard region anymore.
I mean, I think Ziv's made a lot of really nice plays consistently. And the Jace 1v2 is the one that everyone will point to, but he has been making some monster plays in all three of their games, even the game against EDG, which didn't end up going their way. But the reason it was even as long as it was is because they were making plays for him in the top lane and really getting a lead in that area. Mm-hmm. He's been someone they've consistently been able to play around and is probably one of the best three top laners at this tournament. I would say undoubtedly. I'm going to say probably for the sake of people like Walter who aren't as willing to give credit in that regard. Mountain is a concern, I would say. He played really well on the Nidalee in a way that makes no sense to me against INTZ because it's something that he hadn't pulled out before and had any success on. Maybe he'll continue to have success on it. Who knows? The fact that he's at least trying is a positive sign. I think we're not going to see any more of Chawi. I think he had his shot, and I don't think he did well enough against EDG. So I think we'll be seeing Westor, which means, if you let a roaming champion through, Westor is going to take advantage of it. I'm still waiting to see someone forget to ban that Twisted Fate.
I just don't understand.
And at least On can break out the Jinx. Like, that's something On has pocket picks as far as the AD carry position goes that no one else has been able to successfully bring out.
God, I hate that Taiwanese Jinx. They are so good at that champion.
It's really good.
Illegal. Holy crap. It is scary. What I can't seem to comprehend, and this is something that is maybe it's just me as a person. I don't understand how someone can be so god awful at laning phase and not get punished for it in the slightest.
Yeah, well,
but the funny thing, here's the funniest thing.
Wait, how can you say you're a Dyrus fan? What the heck are you talking about?
He got punished for it though. He
Not
would
always.
get punished when he got put behind. Not always, but most of the time. I never see Westor get punished for his laning deficiencies, like, to the extent of which should happen. But I do want to just list some names of people who have worse laning phases than Westor. Just off the cuff.
It's not going to be a long list.
Athena.
Yeah.
Athena.
That's actually surprising, but yes.
Crown.
Okay.
Senkux. And this is the one that really surprised me. Pawn.
Huh.
Pawn has a worse CS differential. It's only by a half a CS. It's 6.5 for Westor and 7 for Pawn. But then when you look at the gold differential, Westor is at minus 187 and Pawn is at minus... Pawn is actually ahead. He's at 217. I misread that.
Well...
So he has more gold. But
AHQ is definitely a team that's built for the mid to late game. That's what the Taiwanese region does. And certainly they invest their resources into Ziv because Ziv is the star player. On and Albus are the secondary, and Westor is the initiator. And his Malzahar is very good. I think that he played very well in the 2 games. He's 2-0 in this tournament. It's one of those things where, like I said, I think as a TSM fan, you should understand the idea of a person on the team not getting a whole bunch of resources, but then coming back to be very helpful in the team's success. And there were a lot of TSM victories with a guy like Dyrus. So I think it's a working strategy.
I don't understand how people don't punish it harder. Because like you said, there are times, though, that Dyrus got punished for that. And he got really punished. And it doesn't punish Westor. I just don't get it.
How do you punish a Malzahar in the first 10 minutes? What's your ganking strategy with his passive? I mean, good luck. I mean, have fun with it, I suppose. But
I don't know. I just find it super bizarre.
We need a line on this because we both agree that AHQ is the favorite. I want to know how much of a favorite you made him.
I have AHQ at minus 175.
See, this is what hurts me the most. I was expecting you to undersell them. I went AHQ minus 150 because I just expect everybody to undersell them.
Silly Chase. When we play this game, I have my own preconceived notions about things, but I shut those off and I turn on now I'm a casino boss. And
it worked this time around because the actual line is minus 167.
Hey, look at that.
Means, you are closer by a whole 5 points, but that's the way it goes.
Who's underselling the LMS now?
It's closer to the pin. Look, I understand as a general rule that people do not give the LMS a whole bunch of credit. This might not be the first time that this hurts me. Let's just keep going. H2K versus EDG. I think you've already made it clear you don't have a lot of faith in H2K right now as a team.
No.
They need to go 2-1 if they were going to get out of this group, and they need AHQ to go 1-2 as a result. We can assume perhaps that they're both going to beat INTZ because INTZ really struggled against both teams.
They desperately need to beat HQ.
That's the game, because even if it went the other way and somehow they beat EDG but lost to AHQ, they would lose the tiebreaker.
Yeah.
So that's the game that really matters. But obviously, if you're H2K and you lost that game, I guess your tournament's done. Yeah, you lose that game, you're done. So this game could be nothing to H2K. It either means everything to H2K because then it's just every win matters and they're at even odds with AHQ and they want to battle for that tiebreaker, right?
Yeah.
Or this game means nothing. Forgiven is going to be cursing his teammates out in multiple languages, is my guess. and Jankos and Vander are just going to fall apart because that's what they do. So what's your prediction on this? Do we think this game is going to matter?
No.
Okay.
I think they lose to AHQ and their run at the World Championship is done.
If it matters, what's their path? Like, if they find a way to beat AHQ. Yeah, Odoamne.
Beat up on Mouse. You have to go after Mouse. Forgiven. It's not even Forgiven's fault. It's Vander's fault. I don't think Vander can hold up to the Def Mako lane. I think Forgiven can. We saw in that game that Jankos immediately came bottom and got them a double kill, and he was able to go toe-to-toe with Deft in lane. Mm-hmm. That wasn't the issue. Now, granted, he was on Ezreal versus a Jhin. It's a little bit easier matchup for the Ezreal. Like, okay, whatever. But he was able to match Def's aggression, but it was Vander. Vander was the one who got caught out. Vander was the one who was constantly eating poke. Vander was the one that was the issue. So, fine. I feel like I'm Forgiven fanboying, but that is the truth. That is the undisputable fact that when you watch that lane, that 2v2, Vander is the one that is out of position. Vander's the one that's getting chunked out.
Agreed.
That's what happens. But if H2K...
And I say this as a supposed Forgiven hater, which is what I have been called several times in the past, a hater on Forgiven.
Yep.
I don't like him as an individual on social media. I don't know him personally, but his play is great. And I don't think anyone can deny what he brings to the table. But I think that if your plan is, I'm going to beat Deft, good luck. Like, that is a hard path to go down.
Yeah.
You're right. I think it does have to go through Odoamne. I just haven't seen anything from Odoamne in this tournament that makes me say, yes, let's pour resources into that guy. That's the guy that's going to...
That's the thing. This is stereotypical Odoamne. This is actually who Odoamne is. He is not the hard carry top laner that showed up during the playoffs. Right. This is more what Odoamne is. The safe utility, peel for the team, play tanks. He needs to have the game of his life if they're going to beat EDG. And I just don't see that happening. He hasn't played that way, so...
Yeah, I don't see it either. And for the record, he's going to have the game of his life against AHQ as well, because Ziv is really, really good. And if Odoamne makes some mistakes or Jankos is late to gank, which he has been a little bit, in this tournament, Jankos' pathing has been, I would say, worrying. And I say that as a Jankos fanboy because I still remember the Halcyon days of the Roccat roster that almost made it to Worlds twice. But... those
17 minutes. That's how long it took for a Rocket reference. 17 minutes.
Hey, I avoided it the first time we brought up H2K. I was proud of that.
That's true.
It had to come up eventually.
It's very true. Very true.
And where's the line for this, Walter?
I have it. EDG is going to bring out the mark of the beast and fully slay H2K. I have it at EDG minus 666.
That is, fun fact. That's not actually the number of the beast anymore. Which is kind of funny. Apparently it's 616 now. It's not going to ever change for me or, Metal Rock, but just a fun fact. At least now you can say, even if you disagreed with our analysis, you learned something today. It isn't that what matters. I actually got this one. I said minus 600. It's minus 526. It feels a little low to me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very low.
I mean, H2K at plus 350 still isn't something I want to do.
No, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Let's keep going. INTZ versus AHQ. This is a quick podcast. It's hard because I don't really know what to say. One of the teams that's playing in 3 of these games is not particularly good, and one of the teams that's in 3 of these games should be particularly good. And so we kind of are breezing through, but.
There's not a lot to say. This is like the most straightforward group out of the 4. This is really straightforward. INTZ.
Unless it gets really fun if H2K beats AHQ. And I say, as a pure fan experience, that's when it gets fun. Because then we get the 3-3, we get the 1-game tiebreaker, we get Forgiven in a tiebreaker match, Worlds or military service. That's one heck of a game as far as stakes go.
Worlds or military service. I don't think the Greek police are standing there at the edge of the stage if you don't win this game, we're immediately taking you to the barracks. That's not what's happening. Come on.
I mean, it's not what's happening.
It's not Someone who was at Worlds backstage, please tell me there's 2 Greek police officers that are standing there with their billy clubs like, if you don't win this and you don't go to Chicago, you're coming home with us, boy. Like, that's not happening. There's no way in hell that is happening.
Obviously, H2K probably got him the exemption for the month, maybe even a little bit more. But remember, he is going into the Greek military service. He has said that he does not plan on skipping out. He's a very patriotic person, is what has been the line, I believe. So
that's
this
not the game we're talking about.
It's not. Well, what do you want to say about this game? I mean, look, if to beat AHQ, you need to be better than their top laner. Yang was not better than Ziv when they played last. The problem with Yang is that as soon as you take away the Gnar, he just didn't have the ability to start fights for his team the same way. And unfortunately, Shen isn't really viable, which was the other thing that really got them through the wild card. So, I mean, really, the path to victory, right, is that Revolta would just outdo Mountain, which I'm not saying is not in play. That is your thing. You take a hard counter carry, and just really counter jungle as much as possible as in Revolta's shoes. Just try to steal as much of the jungle, force Mountain out to make subpar ganks for someone like Westor, who's just not built to get those kind of lane ganks. And then pretend that Macau and Jockstar are good enough to deal with On and Albus. But that's just, I mean, am I missing something? Is there some secret weakness to AHQ that you think puts this in play?
No, I don't think so. Their weakness is pretty out front of Westor doesn't know how to lane, but it doesn't matter because he roams and gets a kill and gets all the gold. And and
like you said, his laning is actually better than we expected. In the Taiwanese playoffs, he was averaging being down over 10.5 CS at 10 minutes. This is much better than that. That said, he's been playing Malzahar, which
he's played 2 games on Malzahar. Like I can farm well on Malzahar.
Yeah, right? Like exactly. You would think. I love how we both had that thought at the exact same time. Where do you see the line, Walter?
I have AHQ at -500.
See, you're gonna get this one, and this one makes me upset. I'm upset by this.
Yeah, weird.
I'm not as upset by this as I am of the next line, but I just find it to be a bit strange. I said -400. It is -526. Why? Since when? Like, we're not giving Taiwan that much respect against H2K. We're going to get to the EDG line, but why now? Like, why is this the game where we're like, yes, HQ gonna blow these guys out of the water. Let's give them -500 and over. Like, this to me seemed like a clear -400 game.
Obviously not, because INTZ is not very good, and AHQ is.
That's the theory. So
this is Unicorn saying, no, the LMS is not a wild card region. Their LMS is actually a power region. It'd be like, no, that's not true, but okay.
2 quarterfinalists of the 2 teams they said last year. That's all I'm going to say. Wild cards have never done that. And still would be much better to be a wild card than to be Europe, which is the next game, wild card versus Europe. If we were to look at the wild card records combined, they have a higher win percentage than H2K and all of Europe does. So that's something. Yeah. I mean, I think we've agreed. We think H2K is the weaker team. There's a very good chance that this game is not relevant, because if they lose to AHQ, their tournament is done.
Right.
Do we expect, like, could this be the game where Forgiven says, this is my last game of Professional League of Legends. I am going to get 40 kills.
Yep.
Like, I'm just going to sit at their base. Even if we, like, get down the neck, like the inhibitor, I'm just going to sit at their base and spawn kill them until they stop me. Yes. Just to get as many kills as possible.
No, absolutely. This is his 81-point game. This will be his 81-point Kobe game. Absolutely. And do not gamble against H2K in this game.
Yeah, and against Macau too. I mean, it's just seems to be perfectly lined up for the, oh man, you thought for the last 4 games in a row that maybe Forgiven was slipping. Oh no, here he is.
He's gonna get the first Penta of Worlds in this game.
I mean, it's in play. I could see Rocks Tigers getting a penta against a team like Albus Nox Luna. So I'm not sure I'm ready to go there yet. Smeb could do it on a 5-man Kennen ult because apparently he just lands those like it's, like it's nothing. But yeah, it's certainly in play. I expect Forgiven to pop off. I expect INTZ to have no answer to it. So where's the line, Walter?
My line, I have H2K at minus 475.
Okay, so here's why this is the dumbest line of the week. So,
because you got it wrong.
Well, I mean, I got it wrong, but I got all of the INTZ lines wrong. If you've noticed a trend here,
yeah.
I clearly overestimated them. I thought that the fact that they got a win, the fact that Brazil has gotten two wins at the last Worlds, 1 win at the Worlds before, INTZ took it of all teams against EDG, that we were going to give them a little bit of respect. Apparently not. And so, I went to minus 320, you went to minus 475. We both adjusted according to the logarithmic scale based on what we thought they were going to say about INTZ. Right. I am fine with that. I knew as soon as I lost the first one that I was going to lose all 3 of the INTZ lines. However, the actual line is H2K minus 588.
Okay.
Which is higher than the AHQ versus INTZ line, despite the fact that AHQ is favored over H2K.
Okay.
Why? What makes sense about that? Why is H2K more likely to beat INTZ than AHQ, but still a clear underdog against AHQ? What is the logic behind this? Is it just because we're going to give Forgiven it is his last game before military service bump? Is that a bump? Is that a thing that we could point to as a thing casinos do? I didn't know that was a thing.
I don't know. I can't argue that. Other than INTZ is not supposed to be favored in this game, and this should be a pretty high line because they lost the other 2 games. So
minus 475, given what we saw from the first line, would have made a lot of sense. I think your line should have been, exactly or very close. Minus 588, like you're 100 points off, and I think the line is 100 points off from where it should be. Unfortunately, again, logarithmic scale, it's only INTZ plus 375.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, I would not bet against Forgiven in his last game before military.
Absolutely not.
That's not
absolutely
a thing.
Absolutely not.
And the INTZ game's going to matter too much to AHQ. That's the thing. Like, we talked about Albus Nox. Like, there's a chance that they get eliminated early. Like, they can just go ham. G2, I said in the last podcast, could certainly go ham. By the time you're listening to this, you know whether we were right or wrong. So you'll be telling me right now, why are you talking about these things that clearly did or did not happen? Mm-hmm. It's because through the magic of editing, we've actually recorded this before those games.
Shh, don't. Why? Why would you break the magic? This is like telling people there's like a tunnel system under Disneyland and there's 8 different people who play Mickey Mouse. Like, Santa's real, folks. The Easter Bunny's real. Tooth Fairy's real. That all exists. That is all real. Like,
I actually didn't know about the tunnel system underneath Disneyland. We're giving
you never
so
watched
many
a documentary on Disney ever?
No.
Have you never had a friend who interned at Disney?
No.
You've never had one of those stupid BuzzFeed articles come up that's like the most interesting facts about Disney? No?
To be honest, the closest I got was when I went to an ex-girlfriend's family Thanksgiving celebration for reasons that even I cannot understand looking back on it. And there was a girl who worked at Disney, and I talked to her for about 90 seconds before she got distracted by something else. And that is the extent of what I know about Disney. So what I know is that she enjoyed working there. That's my knowledge of Disney.
Sorry. You go. Disney has a massive tunnel system underneath it. Yep,
look, we're just giving away fun facts. There's not a lot of analysis here. There's not a lot to say about these games, but the fun facts just keep on rolling.
Absolutely.
We're here for you people.
Absolutely.
AHQ versus EDG. This was totally not stalling because there's nothing to say about this game either. AHQ EDG. I mean, I've asked this question about every team that EDG plays. What's the path? I mean, we know Mouse. EDG.
It's Mouse. That's the path. It's go after Mouse and hope that Clearlove is Clear Love and picks a farming jungler like Graves, which teams need to stop picking because he is not good. He's not a good champion right now unless you're going to bring a bunch of CC from your support and from your top laner, which that doesn't seem to be in Mouse's wheelhouse. And that doesn't seem to be the meta right now. So, yeah, it's going to be kill Mouse.
Keep sticking to this Aurelia pick. How do you feel about his Aurelia? This is an actual... let's get analytical for a moment because we haven't for the entirety of this podcast. Do you think this Aurelia, is this the right move for EDG? I mean, obviously in this game, they went, when they played before against AHQ, they went for the Poppy because it was safer. Mm-hmm. And they did not want Mouse to be the reason that they lost the game. Mm-hmm. I expect them to do the same. But at the same time, they've really, really liked this Aurelia pick.
Aurelia doesn't win lane against any of the top 5 top laners that have been played. I guess it's okay into Rumble, but... other than that, like, it's a comfort pick for him. It's just that's I was listening to Kelsey Moser on one of the other talk shows, and that's what she said. It's just a comfort pick. He likes the champion. He is comfortable on the champion.
Yeah.
I have nothing else to say other than, like, yeah, I don't know why they keep playing it other than, like, he just likes the champion.
Yeah, and there's something to be said about that. I can't praise people for having pocket picks in one sense and then, get mad at Mouse for playing Aurelia with the other. That would be hypocritical. And obviously, I've never been like that on this podcast.
Absolutely
I'm sure
Never.
You cannot find a single example were you to look them up of me contradicting myself. But it's one of those things where I think that there actually is a way for AHQ to really improve upon the last game. You look at their draft from last time, Ashe on Zillion in the mid lane with Chawi. Like, that's not how they play. Even Ziv they put on the Rumble, which is a good pick, but it's not a hard carry pick. I don't know who their primary carry was supposed to be in that game.
I think the Olaf. I think it was supposed to be Mountain on Olaf. I think that was what they were hoping for.
I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. I've watched enough LMS to know that if Mountain is your win condition, you done goofed. You need to go back to the pick ban phase and start over. Like, just like that's when you should be calling, like, someone for Riot and, like, hoping that they do not realize that you actually locked this in. Like, that would be a fireable offense in my in an honest opinion. I don't get it. I don't get what their plan was there. But I don't think they do that again. I think the way you beat EDG, you have to be willing to come at them. You have to be willing to take a shot. Much like, like I said for INTZ, when you're the underdog, take a risk, take an extra shot, play some aggressive champions, play the kind of champions that Ziv's been doing really well with in every other matchup. Play the kind of mid laner that can actually do some real damage in a team fight. Because resurrecting a Rumble or an Ashe is not doing anything for you. And please, do not put on Ashe. It's not what he does. He's not a utility AD carry. He likes Jinx. He likes those kinds of high damage output AD carries. Play to your strengths. That's all you have against a team like EDG. Walter, where do you think this line is?
Well, speaking of Done Goof, did you know that Goofy's original name was Dippy Dog?
I did not know that.
I looked it up because I just wanted to give out more Disney trivia. Yeah, there you go. He's also gone by James Boyd.
I love how Group A is the group of WWE references, and Group C has become the Disney episode. I just can't wait to see what Group D becomes.
That'll be some hardcore analysis right there. Oh.
Yeah. Hardcore in Group D is just really, you just put some words together. I'm sure there's a pun somewhere that we're not allowed to say in front of our sponsors. Where's the line, Walter?
I have EDG at minus 550.
Okay, and this is where I redeem myself. I get the point here.
Oh.
I said EDG minus 400. Okay. It's minus 454.
Okay.
That means overall, you win today, but I maintain a 1-point lead in this competition of ours. The underdog line is AHQ plus 300. If we were gonna recommend an underdog line, I guess it'd be that one. It would be hard if AHQ somehow loses to H2K. That line is gonna shoot up, and it'll be a must-win game for AHQ, and EDG will already have been locked in. So it's in play. It's in play as a potential upset line. Depending on how you think the rest of the day is going to go out, you can decide whether you want to grab it now at plus 300.
Yeah.
I think it happens like 30% of the time, 35% of the time. I think that EDG is clearly the favorites, but I don't think that they're so clearly ahead, especially when you look at the fact that AHQ's strength is EDG's weakness. If AHQ realizes this fact, which did not happen last time, but if they do, then we could be in a good place. But hopefully this podcast put you guys in a good place and you enjoyed it and you enjoyed all the Disney trivia and everything else. Sorry, it's a little light on analysis. I don't know what to say.
There's not a lot to say about this group. It's very clear. EDG's the best team. AHQ is next.
the worst.
Yeah, INTZ's the worst. And H2K is like, if they play up to their potential, maybe they come back, but I don't see it happening because Odo Omne has settled back into who he is, which is a kind of mediocre top laner.
Exactly.
A safe, mediocre top laner.
And that's just not going to make it happen. But, at the end of the day, there's at least one thing that we do know, and it's that more podcasts are going to be coming your way. You go to soundcloud.com/esportsroughdrafts, or you can search on iTunes. If you search on the podcast section, you search Rough Drafts there. You'll be able to get all of our episodes, including the ones that will be coming out Saturday and Sunday, where we will guess the lines before Group D and Group B's matches, respectively. So if you enjoyed this, you're going to want to come back for those. Make sure you subscribe. You can also subscribe on YouTube if you enjoy actually seeing our faces, putting a face to the analysis that you either love or absolutely despise. You should absolutely go to youtube.com, search Rough Drafts Podcast, and make that a thing. We really appreciate your subscriptions on all this stuff. We read every comment you guys leave. It means a lot to us. We love interacting with you guys. I'm going to try a little bit harder to try to respond to some more YouTube comments because I noticed there were a few that kind of slipped past me the other day, and I want to respond more to that. But, of course, you can also directly interact with us on social media. At Rough Drafts Pod is where we do all of our live tweeting. So if you like live tweeting and you want to hear what we think as the games are going on, especially, there's a good chance if H2K beats AHQ for some really bittersweet LMS tiers, you're going to want to follow that. You're also going to want to follow our personal social media accounts. If you're on YouTube, you can already see them, but for the lovely folks that are listening to the MP3, Walter, where can the nice people find you?
You guys can find me teaching you more just weird Disney trivia and giving you WWE references at Ceades_LOL.
And you could find me at RedShirtKing. And tomorrow, as we said, it's Group D time. Today was a little bit light on analysis. Tomorrow will be a battle of analysis. I can't wait. And until then, goodbye, Internet.